This is Radio Free Hillsdale 101.7 FM. I'm Scott Bertram, and with me is Senator Mike Shirkey from Michigan, representing Branch, Hillsdale, Jackson counties. Senator, how are you?
Hi, good morning, Scott. I'm doing great. I appreciate being on with you this morning.
Wonderful. Thank you, of course, for these visits with the station. There's always things to talk about. At the top of the list, I wanted to talk a bit about unemployment in Michigan. The jobless rate, we found out just recently, dropping to 4.7%. It's an improvement from 5% the month before. And, that's a relatively low rate. I mean, you don't get too far away from that to where economists would say you have full employment. There's this conversation about whether or not people are really feeling it, right? Whether the numbers are off or there really are enough jobs out there for people who want to find them. What's your sense on the real unemployment situation across Michigan?
Well, Scott, there are two types of folks that are falling into the category that we're measuring. One is the unemployed, and the other is and I don't mean this as disparagingly as it's going to come across, but the unemployable.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is that their training and their skill sets just don't match up with the openings that are available. And so from a full employment standpoint, I think we're reaching saturation point, and the manifestation of that is everybody that I talk to in terms of business owners are saying routinely that their number one problem and their number one challenge is finding people to fill openings.
Mm-hmm.
And so that begs the question, so what about those folks that aren't working? And that's where I think the logical conclusion is that we've got this gap of skills and training that, to a significant extent, I think we're going to have to attrition through. There's lots of organizations, both the local community and statewide, that are doing training programs to try to accelerate the movement of these folks whose skills and experience don't match the openings. But I don't know that they're going to be able to respond as quick as we'd like. And so there's always going to be the unemployment rate amongst those who are not working is 100%.
Yeah.
And we should never forget that because it's not because people don't necessarily want to work. It's just that there's been an unfortunate gap in what they were skilled and trained and experienced to do, and what the openings are today. And we're going to have to just work through that.
And as you said, Senator, there are government programs, there are private sector programs that try to not re-educate but retrain these workers with different sorts of skills. But at some point, you can't force people to get retrained. The offerings are out there, and if the determination is there to do so, it seems to me there are opportunities out there to find those new skills.
Yeah, and if I were coaching some of the folks that are currently remain unemployed, and my strong exhortation to them would be take the first opportunity that you can find, especially if your unemployment assistance has run out, because there's no downside then. I mean, if you still have unemployment available, then I can see where people might make the calculus that I can hold out for a little longer because I'm getting enough on unemployment. But there's a big percentage of this cohort of unemployed who have exhausted their unemployment benefits, and my coaching and my advice to them is take the first job that you can actually handle, maybe swallow hard a little bit on what the pay is, and then prove your ability to learn and be a trustworthy employee. And I'm a strong believer that most things will then good things will follow.
State Senator Mike Shirkey with us from the 16th District, Branch, Hillsdale, Jackson counties. Find him online, senatormikeshirkey.com, or his Facebook page as well. I'm Scott Bertram with you, Radio Free Hillsdale, 101.7 FM. I want to ask you, Senator, about a proposal from the House Speaker to make the Michigan legislature part-time and reduce legislator pay. Every state has different, guidelines. Texas, I believe, meets every other year, in fact, so they're extremely part-time. What are your thoughts about potentially going to a part-time legislature in Michigan?
I am a strong proponent of part-time legislature. The devil's in the details. I would not propose, however, changing the compensation for legislators. I believe that would be penny wise and pound foolish. We have removed the incentive for being a legislator for a career because we've removed lifetime pensions, and health benefits.
Right.
And so, we've taken a lot of those incentives out. And I think that we want, quality people. And if you think about it, we want people that have some experience. So in that 35 to 55-year range. And for the most part, those are prime earning years. And for somebody to unplug from their career to serve in the legislature as an elected official, I don't think they should necessarily have to, carry on 2 or 3 jobs to do so. But here's what I mean, Scott, by part-time. I believe we are missing the boat completely, and we should minimize the number, or specify, I'll say, the number of days in which we can be in session. In other words, the days in which we can actually pass legislation.
Mm-hmm.
And cut it down to, let's just say, 100 days. In 100 days, you have to pass the budget, and that's when you can contemplate legislation. The rest of the year is spent on doing oversight and review and working in and doing research for what we should be doing, Michigan should be doing long term to remain competitive and become more competitive. We do very little work today, unfortunately, on oversight and reviewing old laws and old regulations and getting rid of them and holding ourselves accountable for what we passed, 4 years ago or 10 years ago. And so to me, my definition of part-time would be reduce the number of session days and expect legislators to do work beyond just passing bills. I think that would be a big benefit to everybody.
Do you think that would have to be coupled with a lifting of term limits as well?
Well, I'm not a big fan of term limits.
Right.
Even though I voted for them when it was on the ballot, but I think I was wrong. But for me, I believe we have to prove that, when I say we, I'm talking about the legislature, prove that we're willing to make those kinds of decisions, and I think the first approach to that would be to cut back on session days. In other words, limit the ability for somebody to continue to just mill out legislation that just because you're in service. And to me, they might send the signal to the voters that say, "Listen, yes, we can trust them because they're not going to be in it for a career." And then maybe we talk about altering the term limits. Really, if you think about it, Scott, you either have term limits or you don't. Some want to tweak them, say, "Well, we'll go to 16 years and you can serve anywhere." I tend to believe we should just get rid of them, but I don't think that the voters are quite ready for that yet.
State Senator Mike Shirkey with us on Radio Free Hillsdale 101.7 FM. I'm Scott Bertram with you. All right, State Senator Mike Shirkey, find him online, senatormikeshirkey.com, or look for his Facebook page as well. Senator, always appreciate the time. We'll talk again soon.
Scott. All right, have a great day.
That's State Senator Mike Shirkey. I'm Scott Bertram on Radio Free Hillsdale 101.7 FM.